My head is resting cockeyed against an immovable pillow. I believe to be in my room. I can feel the breeze coming through the window at the bottom of my bed. No. Why does my neck hurt? The pillow is a tree root. My clothes are drenched. I remember the fever. I must have broken the fever in my sleep. Past the edge of the cliff, the earth is lit with an omniscient light of the sun about to peek over the horizon. I'm so used to being in my room. I don't want to be drenched any longer, but I'm glad to not be waking up in my room. If I weren't at the top of a cliff, I would assume last night to have been a dream. Maybe it was. Did I sleepwalk up here? I've never walked in my sleep. Squinting my eyes, I shuffle down to my camp. My sleeping bag, which was laid beside the fire, is gone. My backpack, the one I never bothered to hang away from the animals because it didn't have any food, is gone. I remember I'd been writing as I fell asleep, but the notebook is gone as well. I walk around the area trying to find my things scattered. I walk down to the river and find my backpack tied to a tree and soaking in the water. It looks as though someone had tied it to the tree to soak it in the water without it drifting away. Now I know it wasn't a dream. No, it could have been an animal. No, an animal didn't tie my bag. Plus, I can't find my notebook. I reel in my backpack and I'm grateful to find my wallet and keys still in the small pocket where I left them. The sun is showing its full glory. I walk back to what was my camp, fully undress, and let my sweat-soaked clothes dry. I sit cross-legged and bask in the heat while I wait. My skin absorbing its warmth like food. Enough time has passed. I put my clothes back on and begin my hike out of the forest. I bring nothing with me except the clothes I'm wearing. It's mostly downhill. The momentum of the trail carries me. My eyes are capturing details not usually noticed. I appreciate the abundance of life. The branches and the spine of reborn leaves, the resilience of the trees to have braved the unrelenting winter. Most of the life of a tree is unseen. I can feel the network of insects and parasites teeming with the communicative roots below my feet. There's a divine conspiracy all around. The journey out is much faster than the hike in, both in nominal time and the way I perceive it. I'm happy to get back into society, to be with people. Pure joy when I walk off the trail and see my car still waiting for me. The winding drive out of the forest makes me nauseous, but I speed towards the highway. Like the space between a dream and waking up, when memories of reality replace memories of the dream, thoughts of the river take over my mind. I can't help but remember the man last night saying he was going to kill an innocent man. He even used the word philotimo. Is the innocent person he's referring to John? He pronounced it as though he's never heard it before, and my notebook was gone. I'd written that word several times for several reasons the day before. He could have easily read it in my notebook. But then, how would he have read my notebook before I spoke to him? It was only gone after I'd come down the cliff. It was probably a dream. I reverse into my driveway and jog up my steps, happy to be back. I unlock my door, and my house is lifeless. Of course it's lifeless. No one has been here for almost 3 days. I walk through my living room and into my kitchen where I see a bitten apple on the counter. I don't remember leaving an apple with one bite on my counter. I don't want to be here. It isn't an uneasiness or fear of being in my house, but simply a desire to be gone. I have a feeling that I need to do something, and I know there's nothing to do here. I grab the phone I'd left behind and press the power button on the side. Zzz, 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 zzz. My phone vibrates through text messages and missed calls. One text message stands out to me. I pay no attention to the rest. An unknown number says, "Change my mind. We'll be in the park today." John? But why would John say he changed his mind? I type a question mark, but before I hit send, I remember giving my phone number to the girl on the trail. Our account is still suspended, so we can't post anything anyway. We could record it and then post it in a few days, so I respond. Left town unexpectedly, still interested. The way rotten food tastes bitter is the way my phone feels in my hand. I don't even want it in my possession. Instead, I grab my tablet in case I want to have a conversation with a stranger I find. The tablet's bigger, so I have to hold onto it or put it between my belt and the arch of my back. I clip the wired microphone to my shirt and carry the tablet for now as I walk back out the front door. Past my neighborhood, I enter the park and look towards the bench I'd met John, hoping to see him. There's almost no one here. It's a beautiful day. This is the real first day out of winter. There's no chill to be found. The sun's heat is a vitamin blanket. I'm surprised to see so few people in the park. Those who are here seem oddly morose, or maybe they look that way hunched over their phones. I leave the park and walk along the short stretch of sidewalk until I'm in the university campus. I see scattered groups of girls taking photos in graduation outfits. The trees that line the university stretch of the Monon Trail would take 3 adults locking arms to wrap around. To my left, mulch separates entryways into the gray stone university buildings. Along the walls, bushes grow out of the mulch, hiding the moss lurching up the stone structure. To my right is a field with much smaller trees shading the edge of the path, and more girls taking graduation photos. 7 streetlights stand half a block apart, separating me and the bell tower I can partially see in the distance. Internally, I decide to walk to my usual coffee shop in the village. Then I remember my fast and decide against it. The desire for coffee starts sweet, but then makes me feel empty. Images flash in my mind of the lifelessness of my house, and I feel gravity pulling into my usual routines. The same routines I lived before I went to the forest. A taste of disgust begins in my mouth, and then I feel it in my body. My habits have been like grooves on a record. I always do the things I usually do, and I do them for no other reason than it's what I usually do. Sometimes I do things simply to not be idle. At the bottom of the bell tower is one girl and her photographer. They're taking photos in front of the small creek in front of the bell tower. I notice in the bag a bottle of champagne. I assume it to be a prop. A thought arises that it is like a yearning to be in her position. Not to be her, but to have something to celebrate, and without worry. As that thought arises, I watch it. I don't identify with it, I just watch it, and then it vanishes. I think of the birds in the forest, and the clear contrast between their morning chirp and my existential crisis the night before. And the flowers stretch to the sun without a sense of doom. What is the reason that I'm here? The sun is far past halfway through its daily journey. I can't believe it's the same sun I saw in the forest. I turn right, cut through the grass, and head for my church. I want to see if Thomas is there. Sounds of vehicles whisking in the distance behind me and a few sporadic birds all around as I arrive and see Thomas's old brown truck near the back. I circumnavigate the church. A maintenance worker is smoking a cigarette by the dumpster. I greet him and he follows me inside but turns down into the basement as I go straight down a hall into Philip's office where I expect to see Thomas. The door is half open. With my body through the entryway, I peer in. At the whiteboard, a man maintains his writing position as he turns to see who's here. He's clean from comb over to tucked in dress clothes. I recognize him to be Michael Seth. He breaks posture when he sees it's me. What the hell is your problem? What's my problem? I'm caught off guard. He puts his left forearm against his rib cage to grab his right elbow and dangles the marker in his drooping hand. The weight shifts to his left foot. His body language tells me he's baffled. The guy talking about simulation, there's no excess suffering, people are out to get him, you don't remember? Okay, so I talked to a guy in the park with interesting ideas. I don't think he was saying people are out to get him. Well, he's sure acting like people are out to get him. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm confused. Where have you been? Are you saying you don't know what happened? No, what happened? I ask. Started a riot in the canal. He was standing outside of the MHC trying to convince people to not go in, convinced a homeless man who was going in not to go. Then they were both out there, and you know what happens next. Counter-protesters. Of course, you can't just exacerbate people looking to get treatment. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? So he was confronted, I'm assuming. How did you find out? Everyone knows. Jim Torrey live streamed an event outside of the MHC last night after it happened. They admitted the guy into the MHC for excess suffering. Torrey said the man's ES had clouded his cognitive abilities and that a PET scan of his brain would show exactly that. Then he called for the state to step in and make the decision to bring people into the MHC preemptively if they are under duress, as in to gather people and bring them into the MHC against their will, I ask. Yeah, he was arguing we need to have sympathy for the guy because it wasn't his decision to try to drown the person. His excess suffering broke his mind. Try to drown someone? Yeah, that's why they took him in. The first day came and went. Only when he and the homeless man were out there the second day did the counter-protesters show up. I don't know who he tried to drown, but he convinced other people to not go in the MHC, and the confrontation became a riot. That doesn't make any sense. He dragged a guy into the canal and tried to drown him in front of a bunch of people, I ask. Yeah, Jim Torrey recapped the whole scenario in his live stream. That's how I know about the podcast. He mentioned your name. That's when he said we need to preemptively check people for ES. Oh, that's excellent. Where's Thomas? He took a walk to the canal where people are gathered. He asked me to go, but I'm sure you've heard Philip is in the hospital. I'll be doing the sermon tomorrow and I'm still getting prepared. I think of the geese and walking among them with my palms open. I think of the knife I'd left beside my sleeping bag when I walked up the cliff. Without adding any respect, I bid Michael adieu and head towards the canal.